therapist when you got anime.
Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. This is a new series I'm starting called Anime Therapy, where we delve into real-life therapy and psychology concepts that get showcased in some of our favorite animes. So join me as we find meaning in the stories we love and connect them to our real lives. A little background on me: I started Mikasa's Garden because I've been in love and watching anime for many years and wanted to get my personal opinions out there into the community. And so far, you've all been amazing. I'm currently in school for psychology and have had great experiences with therapy myself in the past. And it feels like the more I'm learning, the more I'm seeing these concepts and themes pop up all across anime. I want to preface, this is by no means medical advice. I'm just a student that's learning. I'm not a complete expert, but I think that's what makes this so perfect and will definitely help me during exam time. So I hope you guys like this new series. Comment below anything that comes to mind. I really would love to create an open dialogue with all of you. So without further ado, let's get started. This week we're talking about Dandadan, episode 5 specifically. So spoilers ahead if you haven't seen it yet. In this episode, the main characters are meeting up at the school for the first time after their insane adventure together. And Ken... Okay, my bad. Okarun is super unsure how to act. Are they even friends? Maybe it was just these special circumstances that brought them together. Should he say hi? Will she say hi? What do they do with this brand new relationship? So as he's freaking out, walking up to the school, he sees Ayase chilling against the wall, acting super cool and nonchalant. He decides he can't say hi to her and their friendship was just a one-off thing, so he walks past her. And in that moment, she grabs his arm and starts talking to him immediately, leaving Okarun stunned but excited. Ayase starts talking about aliens with a lot of passion while Okarun is still in his head about everything, so he has a tough time responding to her. They finally split to go to their respective classes, only to find themselves to both be in turmoil because they want to talk to each other about aliens and ghosts so badly. Okarun is upset that he didn't talk to Ayase earlier, calling himself dumb and ruminating on his mistake. He starts worrying that this interaction will end their friendship, almost like he's ruined things, thinking that she'll hate him. On their lunch break, they both desperately try to find each other, each missed attempt only adding to their frustration. This moment goes so far as to even heighten the viewer's experience, knowing that they are always barely missing each other. After searching everywhere, they both end up sitting on benches really close to each other, but are ironically unaware of how close they actually are. Okarun's anxiety spirals as he convinces himself that Ayase is avoiding him, and maybe she thinks he's boring. He feels inadequate, like he's not worth her time. Maybe she has enough friends already. The insecurities eat away at him, reflecting a fear of being unimportant to the people he cares about. Ayase thinks about whether she talked too much and scared him off. She feels like she was too pushy and that maybe Okarun doesn't want to hang out with her. Wallowing in their frustration and sadness, they get up to leave. Both Ayase and Okarun are overwhelmed with self-doubt, unable to bridge the gap between them despite wanting to connect so badly. When they suddenly collide into each other, having a semi-accidental kiss, a clumsy moment that perfectly captures their awkwardness and pent-up emotions, it breaks through their miscommunication with a spark of raw vulnerability. This moment supercharges them into admitting that they were both looking for each other. Ayase specifically saying, "Why couldn't you just stay in one place?" They both admit that they thought the other was avoiding them. It suddenly gets awkward until Ayase's friends come out and call them out for their kiss, in which moment it gets even more awkward. But this also activates a defense mechanism within both of them that makes them say the opposite of what they truly feel, leading to them both deciding they don't want to talk to each other ever again. The interesting part here is that Okarun immediately feels that he went overboard and admits he wants to talk to her about so many things, even saying that he should probably apologize, reflecting on their argument until he realizes that he has no balls. Literally. So he runs to talk to Ayase and says he needs to talk to her and that it's very important. But unlike Okarun, Ayase is sticking to her guns and saying she doesn't want to talk to him. With his desperation growing, Okarun keeps pushing and pleading, but Ayase, trying to be completely cold, tells him to get lost basically. This is where Okarun starts questioning what happened to her. She was okay talking to him this morning, why not now? How can she switch from warmth to indifference so quickly? To which Ayase responds, still in her standoffish defense, as she doesn't want to talk to him. The rejection stings, but it's his confusion that cuts the deepest. Okarun tries to explain that he only said it because he was flustered and he really likes talking to her, but Ayase continues to stay committed to the idea that she doesn't want to talk to him and tells him once again to go away. Even her friends after this ask, if he was just a friend, why were you so mean to him? Her face displaying a clearly flustered demeanor. Okarun is upset and still looking for Ayase at the end of the school day when he bumps into this pink-haired chick named Aira. She flirts with him intentionally. Ayase sees this and conveys a level of jealousy. When Aira walks walks past Ayase, Aira is basically talking trash about our boy Okarun, which pisses Ayase off, and she uses her psychic powers to throw a wash tub on her head. At this point, Ayase throws all her anger and stubbornness towards Okarun out the window, grabs his arm, and says out loud, "Let's go home together," finding a way to flirt with him while simultaneously dissing Aira. Finally, as they walk home together, Ayase apologizes and admits she was flustered with the almost kiss. Okarun immediately says he doesn't mind and is happy that they can make amends. The episode doesn't end there, but this interaction within their relationship is a thing that I want to discuss, so the rest doesn't matter as much. So let's talk about it. So in the mid-20th century, a psychologist named John Bowlby developed attachment theory. This was a foundational framework that examined how humans form emotional bonds. His work was particularly focused on infants and understanding the critical role of attachments within early relationships. Building off of Bowlby's work, his colleague, Mary Ainsworth, is credited with identifying attachment styles. This study developed 4 attachment styles originally used to perceive the behavior of infants, but it later developed into having a lot of the same essence for adults. So what are the 4 styles? There's secure attachment, anxious attachment, avoidant attachment, and disorganized, or how I learned it, fearful attachment. So we'll go over them briefly. If you have a secure attachment style, you are comfortable with intimacy and independence. You are trusting and have a general positive view on relationships and a positive view of yourself. If you have an anxious attachment style, you may have a fear of abandonment, and you're very concerned maybe with closeness. These people might be clingy, they have a negative view of self, and they're scared of losing their relationships, and usually end up putting the people in their life on a pedestal. If you have an avoidant attachment style, you usually put a huge value on independence and tend to avoid emotional intimacy. You may struggle with expressing your feelings or even relying on others. You usually have a negative view of others, but a positive view of yourself. During conflict, you may ignore or want to completely get away from the problem. And then there's the disorganized or fearful attachment. In this attachment style, the individual is usually inconsistent in their behaviors. They have a negative view of self and others. They fear making connections, but at the same time, they may try to make connections. This confusing behavior usually stems from unresolved trauma. I actually learned of these concepts both in class and from my therapist many years ago, and it was a game changer for me. I realized I've had moments of anxious attachment in relationships where I'd overthink situations and worry about being maybe too much for people. Just understanding this helped me manage my emotions better and create healthier connections. I'll give you the answer in a few seconds, but do any of these attachment styles remind you of anyone? Attachment styles can influence how we respond to stress, conflict, and general intimacy in relationships. Anxious attached individuals may react with heightened emotional responses and seek reassurance. Avoidant attached individuals might withdraw and try to minimize emotional discussions. I think it's getting easy to tell who they remind you of. Our beloved Okarun and Ayase. See, this episode was an interesting one for me because instantly I was reminded of attachment styles and how they operate. And I think Yukinobu Tatsu, whether intentionally or unintentionally, did an amazing job showcasing this through the characters. The anxious attached Okarun and the avoidant attached Ayase are a great representation of these very commonly seen styles throughout the episode. After the kiss, Ayase shuts down emotionally, retreating behind her independence as a defense mechanism. Ayase becomes completely avoidant to the point she ignores Okarun. Ayase finds it difficult to get close to others and finds it difficult to show this vulnerability to Okarun, who already has started meaning more to her than she's ready to admit. Okarun, on the other hand, is anxious immediately off the bat before he even sees her because of how much of a pedestal he's put her on. The way he immediately runs to her when he realizes he doesn't have his balls is because he's grown dependent on her. The emotional distress he has over possibly losing her throughout the episode because he feels like he messed up weighs on him heavily. There's even this moment back in episode 3 where Okarun is overthinking and admits he's scared of losing a friend, all from Ayase having an avoidant attached reaction to Okarun's emotions when she found out he was still alive. She literally shut the door on him and reacts in a way that confuses him. He even admits to herself that she's feeling irritated and she herself is confused by her own emotion. And one of the things I found really cool when I was learning about this is that there's a tendency between anxious and avoidant attachment styles to almost seek each other out. And you'll see this sentiment translated even online with memes. The extroverted partner with the introverted partner. I always thought it was really interesting. Why would these polar opposite attachment styles find attraction for one another? And the reason is that both types are actually picking people that affirm a core belief about themselves. Avoidant attached individuals are used to living autonomously, and deep down they feel that their autonomy could be violated. So they end up seeking anxious attached individuals that, without realizing, might become clingy and confirm the avoidant attached negative belief that they have. On the flip side, anxious attached people are convinced deep down that their partner will leave them, so they end up with avoidant attached individuals that, without realizing, might withdraw and confirm the negative belief that the anxious attached people have. Because at the end of it all, we're repeating what we know, recreating moments we are used to, even if they aren't moments that we enjoyed. And some of these things can come from trauma or our early relationships in life. The beautiful thing is though that both these attachment styles seem to be grounded in the same place, a fear of vulnerability. The problem is in life, we usually seek the opposite type to reinforce our fears. But with a better understanding of ourselves, our attachment styles, and our trauma, we can actually turn this to a positive. The fact is, generally, nobody falls into only one category so rigidly. And because of the similarities of these attachment styles, there are moments where you can catch glimpses of Ayase being anxious or Okarun being avoidant. There's actually nothing wrong with either, and the nuances can go on forever. The real goal, like I said, is to be able to come to an understanding, a place where regardless of being anxious or avoidant, you can have compassion, finding common ground and feeling more secure. And that's kind of what happens at the middle of this episode when they're walking home. They become more open and aware of each other's antics and both apologize and acknowledge the other. In a brief 15-minute span, we are treated to a beautifully complex psych theory that is prevalent in pretty much everybody's life. A theory that, in my opinion, gives a lot of strength to anybody through just basic awareness. I can't even explain how much my life changed after just being aware of these concepts. So many random things just started making sense to me. I could see other relationships and identify the attachment styles, giving me more compassion. I could see my own connections, not only with relationships, but family and friends as well, and be able to perceive them with new information. For this first episode, I didn't want to go too dense. I think this is a beautiful concept to learn and a great episode from a great show to do it. So again, let me know what you guys think in the comments. Do you agree? What's your attachment style? How are you liking Dandadan? Do you like this anime therapy content? Would you want more? If you love this dive into Dandadan and want more of this type of content, or just want to be tapped into all things anime and awesome in general, hit that like button and please subscribe.